Hello and welcome to another episode, in fact a special episode, which we'll get into shortly, of French Ear Trumpet. I'm Andy from AJ in France, and I'm joined as usual by Colin from French Countryside Life. And this channel, we get together once a week normally and discuss stuff that we find interesting. Usually has a France theme to it, but not necessarily. We've had some good guests as well.
Got some good guests in the pipeline as well, hopefully. So I'm working on it, working in the background to secure some interesting people.
But it's quite special, isn't it?
Yes. Let me just if we can get you all to wish French Ear Trumpet a happy birthday. It's been a year. So the first video for French Ear Trumpet went out on the 9th of March 2024. So it's over a year. Yeah, it's been a year. That's what you said earlier when I told you that. He said that it's gone by faster than it has when we record them.
Yeah, and that takes some doing because each episode, normally when we get to the end, there's so much more that we want to say that we can't really say because we just don't have time really. And we have got a special episode coming up which I'm working on, and it's all the outtakes of before and after you see the episodes that you see. So typically we start a recording and then there's about 10 to 15 minutes at the beginning and there's similar at the end of us just chatting about stuff that isn't maybe not even related to that, but some of it is really funny. So we're going to put it all together and do a special episode for that.
So I looked earlier at the analytics, and the most watched video was what does 99,000 buy you in France, with 882 views.
Nice.
Yeah. 69% of the views were from people that had a subscription, which is actually really high.
Yeah.
67.8% were male. 67.7% were over 65. God bless you. 32% of the viewers were in the UK. 12.8% were in France, and only 3.2% were in the US. So if you're in the US watching, tell your friends, get them to watch. And interestingly, and this goes right across other YouTube channels as well, 42% of the views were seen on TV. And it's quite difficult to leave a comment when you watch something on the TV. I've watched any number of YouTube videos on the TV, and I think to myself, I'm going to have to go back to the computer and write the comment that I want to write, but I never do.
Yeah, I've got to say, I'm exactly the same. Most of my viewing is on a big screen.
Yeah.
Just I've got so many of them around the house, I can watch it in any room I want. I don't have to watch it on my mobile or laptop.
Exactly, yeah.
And it means I can sit down with a beer or having my dinner and watch your favorite episode. But like you say, it's very hard. It is possible to comment, but it really takes time. Like too much time. You have to sit there with a remote and
that's it.
So go on, carry on.
Yeah, so the subject for this episode is ways to save money in France. Now, we're all up against it when it comes to money, and there's some quite simple ways to save money in France. When you're certainly when you're living here, and I would imagine when you're visiting as well, actually.
Probably.
Or if you've got a holiday home here or thinking of a holiday home, then there's certainly ways to save money. So as a start off, and the one that occurs to me most obviously are store cards and loyalty cards. Now,
yeah, I think you're right.
I'm doing a job putting a roof onto a pergola. Is it pergola or pergola or pergola?
Pergola.
A pergola. Pergola. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Anyway, I'm putting a roof on it, and the materials come to over Actually, nearly €900, and I purchased the stuff in the biggest DIY supplier, which is Leroy Merlin. You can pronounce it in the French way, but it's Leroy Merlin. And for that nearly €900, I got €30 in vouchers. So one of the good things about the loyalty card about Leroy Merlin, if you buy something and you use your loyalty card to register the purchase, say you buy, I don't know, 20 boxes of tiles and you only use 19, you can take the one box back to Leroy Merlin and get an immediate refund with no dramas at all. Actually, Andy's got a really good story about taking stuff back to Leroy Merlin. And yeah, so in terms of you'll be freezing for a moment. We're back in the room.
You froze up. Just go and say that again.
So, in terms of supermarkets, the big player is Leclerc. They've got a really good app that you can save your points up on. What we tend to do is save up for Christmas. We normally have about, I don't know, €200 or €300 saved up by when it comes around to Christmas. That buys all the stuff that you feel bad about spending actual money on. Yeah, and there's a freezer shop chain called Picard. They've got a really good loyalty scheme, and
just want to mention that because I have seen the store around, but I've never known what it actually sold until I came and stayed with you.
Yeah.
And you said, "Oh, this is from such and such." But if you could compare it to another store, it would be like Iceland in the UK, wouldn't it?
Well, you say that. It would be like Iceland crossed with Marks and Spencer. So
it's not cheap.
Yeah, the stuff's quite expensive, but it's really good quality.
And it's frozen, isn't it?
It's all frozen, yes. It's frozen goods store.
It's worth going and having a look because after I left your place, I went round there and had a look at what they got to offer, and it's really good. Yeah, really good stuff.
Yeah, no. I think of everything that we ever bought out there was only one thing that we didn't like, and we'll try different stuff as well. Stuff that we wouldn't normally have. We'll just try it, see what it's like. And I can't remember what it was, but as I say, there's only one thing that we've never not liked.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's frozen. You can buy it, put it in the freezer, and it'll last for
Yeah, it's brilliant. Obviously, you got your Lidl and Aldi stores that as long as you're not too fussed about brands. I don't actually shop in them, to be honest, because we just go to Leclerc every week, and it tends to. I suppose we're a bit bored, really. We tend to buy the same stuff every week.
Well, you know what you're getting then. Yeah. I've actually got written down shopping, and I think you could include loyalty cards in that as well. So if you shop consistently at the same supermarket, it's really worth getting the loyalty card. Even if you just for example, the closest supermarket, if you like, to us is Super U.
Super U, yeah.
And but unfortunately, it's not a big Super U. It's one of their express stores.
I know, yeah.
And this is another tip. The express stores are more expensive.
Yeah, they are. The thing about Super U that I think you may be aware of it actually, that they're all franchised. So they are they're owned by the people that run them, and they tend to favour goods that are produced within a certain area. I've actually got on my list actually to say about when you're shopping to buy seasonal veg. So I think it's certainly in the UK and probably here as well, we're all conditioned to the fact that we can have anything whenever we want. So if you want strawberries, we can have strawberries any time of year, because they're flying in from all over the world, and you can have strawberries whenever you want. Whereas here, certainly in Super U, and I think in Intermarché as well, they're very focused on seasonal veg.
Wow.
So you tend to have available what is available.
Yeah.
You can buy your coconut, you can buy your mango or whatever, but the seasonal veg is good and it's cheap. Like for example, a cauliflower. We're in the thick of the cauliflower season now. You can buy a cauliflower for about €1.20. And that's a meal. You bring that in the oven with a bit of paprika and olive oil and salt and pepper. Lovely. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's very seasonal, but I was just want to say, so if you're we covered this on one of our episodes, but if you're in the UK, for example, and you go shop at Sainsbury's or Marks and Spencer's every day, it's going to cost you a fortune.
Yeah.
If you go and shop at any of the express or local stores of those things every day, then it's going to cost you a fortune. And that's what you're doing with Super U. It's towards the higher end, equivalent of probably Sainsbury's, I would think.
Yeah.
And so if you find yourself going to a U Express for all your food all the time, well, it's going to be expensive, because that's equivalent to going to Sainsbury's local or whatever they are.
Yeah, you're paying for the convenience of it being down the road.
Yeah, and that's just the way it is. You either go to, like you say, Leclerc, which would probably be the equivalent of maybe Tesco.
I think Tesco,
like
yeah.
And then you've got Aldi and Lidl, which are Aldi and Lidl.
Yeah.
So it depends on the size of your stores. I like Lidl better, but I don't have one really near me here. But the other house has one reasonably close, because they have different weeks. So they have like an American week or an Italian week. And for example, in the American
it's supposed to be really, really good. I've not actually seen it, to be honest.
It is really good. So you get all the branded stuff from that particular country. So didn't you just recently go in to buy a pint of milk and walked out with a winch? I did. Yeah. No, that was Aldi, but yeah.
It was Aldi.
And of course, for us people who like DIY, if you're into that, you have the central aisles where there's all sorts of stuff, and you just never know.
All sorts of stuff that you never knew you needed.
Yeah, like I said, a winch. I thought, oh yeah, I could use that. Still in the box, obviously.
Is it really?
But I'll find a use for it.
Of course it is.
But I saw it the week before. I thought, I'm not paying €80 for that.
Yep.
Come back a couple of weeks later, a week later. Oh, €60, don't mind if I do. Last one then.
Okay. Very much.
But you can get all sorts of bargain. And just want to mention for DIY as well, Aldi and Lidl often have the big tubs of paint.
Right.
Dulux and other branded makes. Really big 10-litre tubs, 20-litre tubs. And it's a lot cheaper than buying it from elsewhere. And it's really good stuff. I've used it quite often.
Funny enough, I got a separate heading here on my list of false economies, which we'll come back to a bit later. But false economies.
Yeah,
so one of the false economies is cheap paint. If you go to if you go to your DIY stores and buy the cheapest paint, someone described it to me as like painting with skim milk. Yeah.
Now, it's interesting because when my brother was doing his house up, he bought really top of the range paint.
Yes.
And we had a huge room to do. I think it was over 50 square meters the floor, and we had all the walls and all the ceilings to do in one night.
Yeah.
And it only took one coat, and it's French paint. But he paid a fortune for it. But when you look at the time you spend, and how many coats you would have to do and let dry between.
Oh yeah,
it was amazing. And we could paint it because at one end there was a doorway we'd knocked through, but they just put some plywood over it for now.
Yeah.
One coat of white paint on it.
I'm surprised you didn't put wallpaper on the door, to be honest.
No.
It being France.
They do like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, the top of the range paint, it seems incredibly expensive, but it's brilliant. It far exceeds what's available in the UK, that's for sure.
I agree, yeah. So as I say, false economy, but we'll come back to that. One other thing about supermarkets I wanted to say was about certainly at Leclerc, the app that they've got is really, really good. So they'll make available deals in the app, and you sign up to the deal, and you can buy stuff in bulk. So, as an example, I can't believe that we're sitting here talking about washing liquid, but there we go. But
I take the rough with the smooth.
When it all goes so wrong. I used to be a man of action, So anyway, a big bottle of Ariel is normally about between 10 and 15 euros. You buy it in bulk, and when they've got a deal on, and you can get it for like €4. So it's €4 per bottle. So keep your eye out for the deals; they are good.
The app is good for that, but if you don't want to get the app, and this is really I found quite not strange as such, but so I went round to my neighbour's house, and he was there, and he said, "Do you want a coffee?" I said, "Fine." And on his kitchen table, he had all these publicity things that you get from your mailbox.
Yeah.
Most people just write no publicity and stick it on pub and put it on the. That's fine, but I actually watched him, and he was looking through it, and he was picking out and circling the offers. And when I actually looked at the offers, they were quite different. Like you could save a fortune with them.
I used to do the same thing, but what I found was by the time you get to the store, they've all gone.
Yeah, so they're very poor. You have to get.
They don't have like a limited amount of that thing at that price, and what was it? Let's say a dollar short and a day late, or something like that. Yeah, a day late and a dollar short. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Anyway, but buy in bulk. It's good. So on the theme of food, you can grow your own veg. Now, I'm not convinced that it's cheaper because you've got to buy the seeds, you've got the amount of labour involved in growing it, but probably not that much in the way of saving money, but certainly as a way of feeling better about yourself. And what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah. Oh, hold on, you're frozen again. One second. Right. Okay. Yeah, so we're back in. Interesting, because I'm not convinced as well either. But what I am convinced about is how much better it tastes.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Now, when you go to the supermarket here, you've got a choice normally. You can buy the pre-packaged plastic, let's say, for example, carrots. Or next to it, in a box next to it, is normally the local French carrots. It's and you just put them in a bag yourself.
They've got a thing about growing carrots in sand here, haven't they? Have you seen that?
No.
Carrots à sable, I think it is. And yes, when you buy them, they're still filthy dirty and covered in sand. So I don't know what all that's about. Actually, someone in the comments might
that'll be interesting.
Enlighten us about that. But carrots in sand. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so they definitely taste better. So also next to me is a farm, and they grow their own veg as well for their own personal consumption. And I've got a lot of fruit and nut trees, and I swap my fruit and nut harvest, or some of it, for their vegetables. And man alive, they taste completely different.
Yeah. And on that theme, I think the best grow your own thing is chickens. Because the eggs, as you well know, eggs are fantastic, aren't they?
So my neighbour opposite, same sort of thing. I do an exchange of fruit for fresh eggs.
Yeah.
And they are completely different. And do you know what struck me the most with the free range, because they're just in his garden, and like yours were, the amount of double yolks you used to get.
Yeah. yeah. It's normally young birds with that. It's normally young birds will double yolk.
Yeah, and I was getting loads of them, but decent size as well, decent
Yeah,
eggs,
yeah,
really big
yeah,
ones. Oh.
yeah. But in terms of just the economics of it, once you've bought the chickens, and you can buy ex battery hens, for €2 or €3 each, and they'll produce eggs for probably 2 or 3 years.
Oh.
One egg a day, probably 5 or 6 days a week.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So,
That's,
and if they're free ranging, they don't eat a lot because they eat the grass and they eat the bugs, and are just brilliant. Love chickens, and they're tasty too. Sadly.
I love chickens. They're tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good tip though. Get friendly with a neighbour who grows their own stuff, because you can guarantee they will have more than they can eat.
Well, that's the thing, because anybody that's got more than 2 or 3 chickens, they've always got loads of eggs lying about, because you can't eat them fast enough. So I used to give them away. I know Robbie from Escape to France, link in the description. He's always got loads of eggs knocking about.
Yeah, and not just eggs as well, but if you, like your neighbour that's opposite you,
yes,
he's got a beautiful little allotment thing going on.
Yeah, we had
and you get, every now and then you get whatever it is he's got too much of.
That's right, yeah. He gave us a tray of figs straight off the tree a few months ago, and that was great. It was great. Figs. It's all round in mouth. You've been eating figs. But no, it's great. Yeah,
so get to know somebody locally, like neighbour nearby, just have a chat every now and then. And I bet you in the summer, when they've got more than they can deal with, if you're passing, you have a chat, you'll come away with a handful of stuff. Normally, that is the case.
Well, all of the farmers around here, they always wave at us as they drive past. The reason that is because when we first came here, and we already had the chickens when we first came here, we was dishing out eggs left, right, and centre. When we lived up in Normandy, we never used to have to pay any duty on any parcels, because we just used to give the posties some eggs.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different world. Yeah, absolutely different. Anyway, right. So go on. Have you got another one?
I have. Well, not on that. But is it? It's kind of connected in a way, sort of, I suppose. But then there's something that you know a lot about, and I'll shut up and let you talk about it. But the first thing is digital subscriptions. So there's a newspaper that I've mentioned before called Connection. It's an English language French newspaper. I think it's about £4.60, £4.90 for each episode. It comes out once a month. But the digital subscription, when it's on special offer, is €29 for the year.
That's really good.
So that's a good deal. So and you can also do that with other, with your magazines of interest. And I think it's a lot greener as well to have them in a digital format.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Access to back catalogues and all sorts. So yeah, digital subscriptions. That's my contribution.
No, you're right, and they do have offers on that every now and then as well.
Yes.
But I did subscribe to a magazine which was English for cars, and they didn't have an option for digital, and they actually wanted to send me it, and I wasn't even that bothered about the magazine, to be honest. I wanted the other benefits of being a member of the club. They insisted on sending me, and it's a complete waste of. I've got stacks of magazines, and you just don't know what to do with them. So once you've done with them, recycle them, obviously. But I'd rather they weren't sent in the first place. So you're right. If you can get a digital subscription, it's much better. Yeah.
So talk to me about electrics. So I'll just go and have a cup of tea.
I wager where this is where people could save the most. And I did an episode on it. Admittedly, it wasn't great, but all the information's in the video. But basically, most people are under the misapprehension if they get the on and off peak subscription, the traditional on-off peak subscription from EDF, that they're going to save money compared to the standard base rate electric. And if you actually look into it and do your sums, you have to spend an awful lot of electric at night, every night, for that to make any kind of sense whatsoever. And it's very unlikely that you do. So just have a look. For my thinking, check your tariffs for your EDF. There are other companies that can provide you with the electric, and it doesn't involve a lot to change between them if you don't want to. The cheapest tariff available to date is the EDF Tempo tariff, which means each day of the year is assigned a colour, depending on what the demand is on the system. And the more demand there is, then the colour changes. So the cheapest day is a blue day, and every day between March and November is a blue day. So There's no change. Yeah, there's no change there, and you pay 12.8 cents for a 1 kilowatt hour. So compare that to on and off peak when you're paying around about 22 cents.
Yep.
So almost double.
Yep.
On the days when there is more demand, you get a white day. It's not really worth considering too much. It's 16 cents. So still it's not cheap, massive. Yeah. And then, they've got a red day. And during the day on a red day, it's 75 cents.
Yeah, just have a day out.
Yeah, they just use everything at night and don't use much. You can still use lights and stuff, but don't put the oven or the washing machine on, something like that. And that's the cheapest. The next one, if you don't fancy that, is the EDF Zen tariff. The EDF Zen is the next cheapest one in France. So have a look at your bill, and there's free online calculators where you can put your bills in, how much you've used and that kind of stuff, and it will tell you what the cheapest tariff is for you. And you can save a fortune. And if you've got an older house where you've got an 18 kilowatt supply, which is basically the amount or the maximum you can draw at any one time is 18 kilowatts. Not many modern houses need that.
I was going to say, that's a lot. I think we're on 9, yeah?
Yeah, I'm on 9, and I've got a lot of stuff going on. So 9 or 12. 12 would be a maximum. It's very unlikely you need to go above that unless you've got a really big house or swimming pools, or even with your swimming pool, you don't need more than that.
Yeah. So
look at how much you're paying a month. So the more that you take, so that an 18 kilowatt one costs more a year than a 9. You might save 70, 80 pounds a year, 80 euros a year, just by changing the level that you don't actually use. And in my video, I tell you how you can check that, how much you use. But certainly electric. Really think hard whether you need the on and off peak ones, because unless you spend every day putting all the stuff on at night, the chances are you're probably going to be better off just getting the standard base rate.
Yeah, well, certainly when the pool's running, we have the heat pump on overnight, and as you know, we have the hot water on overnight.
Yep.
But those are the only two major things that we have on overnight.
Yeah.
But, I was really interested when we talked on WhatsApp about those standalone out-of-a-box solar systems. I think I've seen the future, and I think it's them.
Yeah, they are actually quite good. I mean, if you've got the technical know-how, you could build them the same thing slightly cheaper, but not much. You might as well just buy them as they are. Online, they get plenty of deals on them. But basically, in full sunlight, they can provide enough power to run, certainly run some more heavy-duty appliances. But what it also does do is cancels out your standby load. So every house has got a fridge or something going on in the background. If you could just get rid of that from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m., that doesn't exist, and you don't use that. That over the long term, that's really saves you money. But if you can then time using your appliances, say a washing machine when it's in full sun, these plug-in things cancel out quite a lot of that appliance.
So one of those systems for me to cover the pool and the heat pump and all the rest of it. So I would guess that would be around about €800. Do you think that's?
Yeah, somewhere around there, anywhere between 800 and 1,000. The more you pay, generally speaking, the bigger system you can get.
Of course, yeah. So would that mean that if I was to get one of those and set it up, would that mean that I would run the heat pump during the day then, obviously?
You would have to look at the output of the panels versus how much it would cost to run your heat pump. You could do the maths on it.
Yeah.
But if, let's say you had a 2,000 watts, you can have up to 3,000 without any issues with EDF or any of this. And these things just plug into a socket. There is no real setting up to be done. You can, let's say you had 2,000 watts and your heat pump took 2,000 watts. It'd have to be in full sun. So you could certainly run it for a few hours during the day for practically free.
Yeah.
And at night, and then it would have to do less work at night. So overall, it would be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I think that's something that I'm definitely going to look at.
Also, you can unplug it and take it with you.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the most important thing. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look at that. Look at that a lot closer.
Got that written down as well.
Yeah. Just going back to food that we were talking about. I was thinking when I was doing the notes for this episode, I was thinking if every day you went to a restaurant and had the plat de jour as your main meal. Right,
I've got this written down.
Okay, and then so you had, I don't know, a couple of croissants, a bowl of cereals in the morning. You had a plat de jour in a restaurant every day, and then you had a sandwich in the evening. Do you think that would be obviously, you know, there's the extreme that you could buy a pot noodle and have 3 pot noodles a day, but you know you'd end up with rickets, wouldn't you?
But yeah, you would.
Whether that's a sustainable thing to do, and you know whether you would save money on a food bill.
Yes, I mean the answer is yes, because I do it. Because I live most of the time I live on my own, so and I get my food at the lunchtime paid for by the company, and they tend to do.
Right. Okay, that's a bit different, isn't it?
No. I mean, but wait, hang on. So what we do is if we go to a restaurant at lunchtime, like you say, all restaurants, or not all, but most 90% of restaurants have a day menu, and it's catered around people like me who are workmen for a particular company, and they get X amount per day to spend on their food. So they can't make it too expensive. So the menu tends to be short, and still good food though, I must admit. It's still very good, and you can get 3 courses for about 14-15 euros easily, or 2 courses for 12 euros. Now that's a lot of food as well. The plates are pretty big.
Yeah, I mean that's
certainly where I am.
That's your main meal of the day, isn't it? That's
so for me personally, I wouldn't need a big meal at night, and I don't have that big a meal at night. So I really live off that, because I eat the main meal at lunchtime as opposed to the evening. In England work, it was kind of the reverse. I'd have a sandwich at lunchtime and then a big meal in the evening, but it's the opposite way around.
I think we've said it before. I think it's a lot healthier to not be going to bed with a full stomach, and you know. But I was just wondering whether that's a if you did it did that by choice and you had to pay it for yourself,
I think you probably would be all right.
whether you would be quids in by the end of the month.
I think you would, because you'd also have to do less washing up, less preparation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you probably would be. You wouldn't have to go shopping for that food, so you wouldn't
Yeah.
have to go to the shop to get it.
Yeah.
I guess, but then you'd have to go to the restaurant. So it depends where you are in your situation. But for me, I would say if I had to pay lunchtime, I would still do it that way, because I think it's cheaper. If you go to the same restaurant in the evening, then it's almost double the price, although there is more choice. But yeah, the same restaurant will be a lot more in the evening for 3 courses.
Yeah, that's interesting. So last weekend we went to one of my customers. It was his 79th birthday, and what an interesting man, mate. He's been involved in motorsport engineering all his life. He's owned all sorts of engineering companies. He was his company was the main supplier of universal joints to the majority of rally sport manufacturers. What an interesting man. He's been around. Anyway, so we went to his birthday party. Got a fabulous house, and talking to some of his friends and that, and the conversation got round to charity shops, because that's it, yeah, because one of the fellas there, when we got there, this fella started mooching around in this like full dinner suit, with the velvet lapels and the
nice
cummerbund and the Dickie Bow and all that, and he was mooching around. I thought, I'm in jeans and a jeans and a polo shirt. I thought, well, I'm well underdressed here, aren't I? But anyway, I got talking to him. Really nice fella, funny bloke, and he said he went to the charity shop and bought it for £5. The whole lot, bought it for £5. And he said, I see it, and I said, he said that he tried it on, it was perfect fit. He thought, I'm just gonna wear it, even if I wear it for gardening.
Nice. Well, yeah, why not? That would be so funny.
Yeah. So so what are your thoughts on charity shop clothes? Because that is quite polarizing. Lots of people will say, I couldn't wear someone else's clothes that they've worn, and other people will say, well, just put it through the washing machine, and it doesn't matter.
Well, I think I'm probably in the second category, to be honest. I mean, it doesn't really particularly matter to me. As long as it's not got holes in it, then yeah, I mean, if it's decent, why not?
Yeah.
Just on the charity shop kind of thing, if you're looking to furnish a house, there are plenty of those kind of places, big warehouses.
Racontes and so on, yeah.
Not just that, there's a company a charity called Emmaus.
Emmaus, yeah. I did a video on it, Emmaus.
Yes, that's right. And they have all sorts of stuff in there. You can go and get I don't know, anything from a bed to a sideboard to
everything, yeah.
Lamp, standard lamp, table lamps, you name it. Kitchen table, outdoor tables, really cheap.
Yeah, and all the money raised goes to support homeless people.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
We take a lot of stuff, when we're going to get rid of stuff or update stuff, we always take it there. We don't take it to the tip. If it's usable, we'll take it there, and they'll decide whether they want it or not. And I say, it's for a charity, but it's so much cheaper. It's really worth exploring that if you're going to furnish anywhere, especially if it's a holiday home.
We've got a massive it's a charity called Hope, which raises money for animal shelters, and we take all that stuff there. And actually, it's funny because I was walking around there a while ago. A friend of mine back in the UK is a massive fan of Jensen cars.
Yeah.
And, nice. He's always wanted one. Never, been able to persuade his wife that that's what they really need. This 5-litre V8 monster.
Yeah.
To pop down to Sainsbury's in. And so anyway, so He's a massive fan. So I was walking around this Hope charity shop, looking through the books, and I found this coffee table book, great big thick thing like that. But big old tome of all about Jensen, right from when it was founded. The people that ran it, right from day one. And I think I paid about €3 for it, and I think it. And I sent it to Steve, my mate. I think it cost me €38 to send it.
The Brexit
tax. Put it under false economies.
Yes, definitely.
But, I sent it to him, and he was over the moon. But the fact that book found its way to a charity shop in Charente was curious, and then it ended up back in the UK. Actually, while we're talking about false economies.
Yeah.
Should we just mention about duty? So if you buy anything from the UK now,
oh God, yeah,
there's a good chance you'll be charged duty. I think they just make it up at the post office.
Right. So there's two different charges. There's the actual duty, but then they slap an admin and processing charge on top.
And really, I didn't know that.
Currently, that's not particularly well regulated, so you could end up paying way more than 20%.
Yeah.
And I've seen stories of people paying well over the odds, way more than the actual parcel's worth.
Yeah. Well, Jane bought some skin stuff, and not stuff made of skin. I mean, it's stuff to put on skin. That's what I mean. She bought some of that from the UK, and I think it was about €60 for the stuff, and they wanted I think €42 for duty. So that was the last time I ever did that.
Most of the stuff you find that you can buy in the UK online, you can probably get it here or somewhere else. In fact, it's normally cheaper to buy it in from the US or China or wherever it's probably made than it is to buy it from the UK now. Yeah. There's nothing there I can think of that. There's stuff that is cheaper and is better, but once you add the duties and the transfer and all that admin, I mean, I bought a little piece of plastic that goes on the side of my laptop.
Yeah.
It was ages ago, and they sent it over in a little jiffy bag. And the postal lady wanted €9 just to hand it over, and then make you pay on the doorstep as well.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
So so I was like, okay, but the thing was worth €1, €1.50.
No,
yeah, exactly the same story. Anyway, we know all that. Okay, good. Have you got any? I've got a quick tip for you. Save some money.
Yep.
Car insurance.
Okay.
So car insurance, most people have got a broker. That's fine. But when you buy your car insurance, it comes with legal protection of some sort that covers the driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you only need one of those. So if you've got two cars, you don't need two lots of that.
That's true. Yeah.
So you can get rid of it from the second policy, and that'll immediately save you some money.
Yeah.
Thought I'd let you know that.
That's good. Yeah. Good point. Because I would guess that would probably be, off the top of my head, I'd probably say between €9 and €12 a year. You pay for that.
Little things. Well, why pay it to someone?
But they all add up. No, definitely. Yeah, definitely. They all add up.
Another thing, another quick one for you.
Yeah.
Where I am, the bins that we get, that we pay for to be collected. I know this varies a lot depending on where you are, but we pay for 3 types of bins: food, recycling, and normal waste. But if you find that you're not using them all the time full, you can actually request half size or smaller size, and you get reduction on your bills, and it's quite substantial as well.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, each area is very, very different, isn't it? We've only just gone over to where you need a card to go to the déchetterie, to the rubbish dump. So we've only just come over to that, where we are. There's still no restrictions on the amount of rubbish that's going to be collected from your house. So we do 1 week is rubbish, and then the next week is recycling in the yellow bags. Interestingly, you can't take rubbish or the recycling bags to the déchetterie.
No, they won't let you. So the way our bins work here is that we have a grey bin. We can only put it out 12 times a year.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay.
So once a month.
Yeah.
But it's expensive. If you've got the option to not do that, not have that bin at all, and your bills drop by half.
Yeah. What goes in the grey bin?
Anything that it doesn't fit in recycling. So plastic coat hangers is an example. Certain types of plastic that won't go in the recycling bin. I use it for all sorts of strange stuff here, like not construction waste, as in rubble and bricks and stuff. Well, like stuff that needs to be got rid of that I can't easily get rid of elsewhere, but not much, to be honest. And my neighbour opposite doesn't even have one.
Yeah.
They just have the recycling, and that's it. They don't even have the food waste bin because they've got animals that they feed the food waste to. So
yeah, brilliant.
That's all.
Actually, after we lost the chickens, people probably heard, but all of our chickens got killed by a fox a few months ago, and it's a bit of a choker having to buy eggs at the supermarket. But we have noticed that the amount of green stuff that we're putting on the compost or throwing away, whereas all of that stuff, like for example, if we was cooking and there's some mashed potato there.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, my neighbour does it.
Yeah,
they've got chickens and
yeah, all of the food, as long as it's not citrus or onions or anything like that, just put it inside a chicken. Yeah. Brilliant. And you get eggs out the other end. Brilliant.
Look at it. Little egg machine. Yeah, good. Oh, just while we're talking about what most people have.
Yeah. Let me just write something down before I forget it. No, go
on. Most people, if you followed either my channel or Colin's, will see that we have these little portable oil-fired heaters.
Oh, they're brilliant.
And they've saved my life for the last few years, and they are really, really good. But the oil for that can be quite expensive.
Yeah, I fell for that.
Did you fall for it?
The first year, I probably fell for that, thinking I better get the best oil because it says sans odor, without odor, and I don't want a place smelling like an Inverness oil refinery. So I'll buy the stuff at €54, and then after about a year, it was talking to you as well, and the experiences that you had with your mum. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it. I'm not going to tell Jane. I'll just try it and see if she notices. Anyway, after about a month of using the cheaper stuff, that was €22 because it was on offer in Superu. Yeah, after using that for about 2-3 weeks, a month, something like that, I said to Jane, have you noticed the difference? She went, no. So there's no difference.
Yeah, double the price. Is a difference? I can't tell. So
maybe on startup and when you shut it off, there's a little bit of a difference, but other than that, there's no difference.
No, it's certainly not worth double the money. So I found with that as well, we have So we have 3 supermarkets near us.
Yep.
And they all receive pallets of it, which they discount.
Yep.
One supermarket does it at the beginning of the season, one in the middle, and one towards the end. So I've learned which one does which. And I can go to that supermarket. Like, for example, today, which is the end of the season, I found one supplier at €22 for a tub.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. And the weeks before, the same place, it was 38. So
that's a massive difference, isn't it?
What I'm saying is, if it's expensive in one, it might be cheaper in another. It's worth going to look at another supplier. Definitely.
Yeah. just while we're talking about saving money, don't ever buy your dog food at the vet.
No.
So our dog's had all sorts of problems with getting the right food for him, and I bought a 10-kilo bag of food from the vet. I paid €129.
Wow.
10 kilos. He just frozen up there. He's still there. Okay. Yeah. So paid €129 for 10 kilos. I found exactly the same food online. A company called Zoo. I think it's called Zooplus.fr for 62. 62
That's a
euros.
massive difference.
And when I went to the vet today, €9 here, I found it online for 62. And he said to me, "We can't even buy it for that."
That's brilliant.
So, yeah, there you go.
I've got another one. If you're going to do stuff to your house, and this only applies if it's your principal residence, but you can Google and go to My Prime Renov, and it's a government website, and you put in your details, tell them what you want to do, and they'll tell you if there's any grants available to do whatever it is you're going to do. So that, for example,
My Prime
Renov,
Renov.
RENOV,
Okay.
and you, for example, if you're going to get a heat pump or you want a new heat pump installed, you put in all your details, how much you earn and all that kind of stuff, where you live, and it'll tell you how much you can get off, or if there's a grant available or that kind of stuff. And it does vary from area to area. So I know where I am here, some of the towns and villages, if you want to repoint the outside of your stone house and you live within a certain distance of the centre, they will give you money towards it to beautify the town. That's just one example.
That's really good.
My brother went on that site and found out how much he could get. I think he got about €4,000 towards his heat pump.
That's really good.
So everything's on there, and it'll tell you what you can and can't get. There used to be grants for solar panels, but I'm not particularly sure if there are any more at the moment. So just go on there and have a look, and it's worth a try, really.
Good. All right, well, that's my list done.
Got a couple more. Firewood. So if you move to France, you're probably going to have a fire. Not an open fire, but certainly a wood burning stove somewhere.
Wood burning stove, yeah.
Don't buy your wood from the brickos.
Oh my God, no. So the firewood here is sold in stairs, which is a cubic meter. It's not actually a cubic meter, is it? Because the cubic meter relates to buying it in lengths of 1 meter, and no one's got a wood burner a metre wide, so you've got to chop it up yourself if it's that way. But it's normally in either 60 centimetres or 30 centimetres. And it's because it's cut up, it's a lot smaller. But anyway, you buy a stair from Brico, you can easily pay €150.
Yeah, for sure.
If not more. You buy it from a supplier, like if you look in the French version of the Yellow Pages, or online, delivered probably 75, 80 maybe. If you're lucky enough to have a farmer nearby, or someone who's nearby who does it, I'm very lucky in that we've got a farmer down the road who supplies our firewood. I pay €55.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. A really good point you make, and also where to find these people. Do not buy firewood from the internet or Facebook. No. There's so many scams out there that use Facebook and the internet for firewood. Just don't even entertain it.
Ask someone else. Ask someone that you know, someone in the village. Ask the Marie.
Now now I'll tell you why, because sometimes the mairie themselves are cutting down wood and they'll give it to you at almost next to nothing prices.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, a good place to find out where to get wood is in the bakery window or on the notice boards in the tobacco.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
always a little card with ring Jean-Claude or whatever, and then a scrolled number. That is your best bet because they've been doing it for years. You'll get a decent, and they have a standing in the community. They're not going to rip you off, otherwise everyone will know about it. So that's
right.
where you find your wood. Okay, that's that one. Probably one of my last few, and then I've got a question for you. Broadband.
Oh, yeah, good one.
Yeah, so there's loads of ways to look at this, but probably everybody has Orange because they've got an English-speaking helpline number, or they've always had Orange. There are other options out there that are cheaper, but you've just got to select what's right for your area. But from your experience, Colin, having having Orange normal broadband is about the same price as having the fibre, or sometimes it's cheaper. So look at updating to fibre because it might actually be cheaper than you originally paying. I know I saved €10 a month by upgrading to fibre.
Yeah, in my experience, and the people that I've spoken to, you can save money, with people like SFR and other suppliers, but pretty much all of those people that have used anyone other than Orange have had dramas with them, with the after service, aftercare service and stuff like that. But Orange have been really good, I've got to say. They're French, so it does take. You've got a theory in here about service from a
after sales service.
After sales, yeah. So you've got to go through 18 people that don't know what they're doing to find the one person that does know what they're doing, that will make things happen.
Yeah, so it came from my brother actually suggested this, and it's all government department, it's all after sales service. There's one guy or girl who knows exactly what to do, what buttons to press, and can solve your problem in an instant. And they employ like a shield of these 20 to 25 to one person ratio, and their job is to stop you from getting to that person.
Yeah.
So, and especially true in the government department, if you can crack the shield and get in there and speak to the right person, guaranteed within 5 minutes your job is resolved. Yeah, I could do that on the phone for you, mate. No problem. Bish bash bosh.
I've had it exactly. Funny enough, I had exactly the same thing with Orange at the other place, but this was actually the face. The fibre cable from the lane to us, and it was much, about that, and he said, you're going to have to have a trench dug, and or you're going to have to put in some more poles and that because we were down a lane, private lane, and no, I can't do that. Anyway, and then so he went, and then 4 or 5 phone calls to Orange. Got through to this other person who went, yeah, don't worry, we'll send someone out. And this guy came out and just looked and went, yeah, I'll do that. And just got on with it and did it. It
really does depend on who you get. And if you get to that one person, you're done. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Start. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a war of attrition, isn't it?
Yeah. So look at broadband because you can get offers from different people. So I've got 3, and they give me my mobile discounted as well because I've got their box with them as well.
The only difference is that you can't play one company off against another because
they don't
back in the UK, right? And you phone up Virgin and say, well, I've had this offer from Sky. What they tend to do is that if you phone up and you speak to the call centre and you say, that I want to do this, I'm not happy, they'll put you through to the customer care centre up in Scotland, and they'll have Mrs. Doubtfire answer the phone and persuade you that you need to stay. And what would it take? What would it take? for you to stay.
It's Irish, man.
Okay. And anyway, but in France, you try and do that. You say, well, I've had I've had an offer from SFR. They want me to go, so I want to close my account. All right then. So then. Oh, hello.
Send me a box. That's it.
Yeah. Send me a box. Otherwise, I'm going to charge you.
So yeah, but in all seriousness, have a look at your broadband package, because you might be paying more for DSL really slow when you could get either Starlink or fiber for cheaper. So that's well worth, and that's every month. So check that out. Oh, one last thing before we go is the EDF app on your phone for monitoring how much you use per day, per hour, and per month. It's brilliant. So EDF. You
can actually get it down to 15 minutes as well. You can actually get it down to it does actually break down to 15-minute sections. It's really, really good.
Have a look on a video I did on that, and you can get that on your phone. It's brilliant, and you can see then really how much you do use overnight compared to during the day. Well, before we go, because we're at the end of the time, that's good for the episode, I think. Talk to me about Heathrow. Heathrow. What's going on there?
All right. So you want to do this?
I want your best conspiracy
part of the show,
theory. I want your best take on this.
So there's two ways to look at it. Well, three ways to look at this. Right. So the first way is that it was shit happens. Things blow up. Things happen. Second way to look at it is that all of the transformers are made in China.
Right, that's a good one. Yeah, okay, I like that.
So if you was testing infrastructures, what better way to shut down the entire busiest airport in Europe, with one explosion? Third theory, it's the Russians. It's the Russians under the bed, isn't it?
The Russians.
It's the Russians, yeah. It's the Reds under the bed.
What's your best guess then?
It's just something just blew up.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that's. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of. There's possibility of incompetence in the mix, but.
Of course there is, yeah.
I'm pretty certain it's just.
It's just a case of shit happens, sadly. And it's also probably a result of procurement of goods working to a budget other than a standard.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's possible. I mean, I could certainly see that if you're talking about seats in a cafeteria, but I know from experience how, like, for example, your RCDs that trip in your house. Yeah. So I've got a friend who works at Sellafield, or did work at Sellafield. He's an electrician, and he says if we have an RCD that trips, we take the whole thing out, throw it in a bin, and put a new one in. We don't reset it. There's no resetting going on. Yeah. We look at it, take it out, test all the circuit, and put a brand new one in. One trip.
Kind of important in a nuclear power plant, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the same can be said for an airport as well.
Yeah. The thing that I didn't understand was that, and something that was a bit fishy about it was that on the news, I mean, you can believe or disbelieve what you hear, was that the backup systems were, and this was like their statement, the backup systems were affected by the explosion. So that, to me, that means that the backup system was either in the same place as the explosion, which is stupid, and it comes back to the incompetence thing, or the backup system had no fail-safe. Guessing that if a transformer gets to the point of explosion, then there's going to be a surge. Maybe, I don't know. You would know about this much more than I would. But there's going to be a surge which would then knock out other systems.
I'm going to tell you an actual true story now.
Go on then.
My dad was a X-ray technician.
Yeah.
It's how my mum and dad met, actually. My mum was operating a X-ray. She was a radiographer.
I bet she saw right through that, didn't she?
The old ones are the best.
Thank you very much.
Never heard that. Anyway, so she was in the Leeds General Infirmary, and she managed to break the X-ray.
Right.
So my dad goes out to fix it, and not many people know, but back in the day, the X-rays. Oh, you're freezing again. You're there. Come back to me.
Sorry, mate. You just broke up there, so go back to not many people know.
Yeah, so X-rays back in the day, in the 80s or 70s, I would reckon, the X-rays required an awful lot of power. Nowadays,
Right.
not much compared to before. Vast amounts, and they had their own substation just for the hospital.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
For the X-ray.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
So my dad tells a story. He goes there and he fixes his X-ray, and he's like, he's in the middle of the hospital. Freezing up again. So he's in the middle of the hospital fixing this X-ray, and he goes and he flicks this little switch, and he just hears in the background, and all the lights go out, and then all the emergency power kicks in. Turns out he's blown up a transformer in the substation, exactly what's happened down at Heathrow. But they had to crane a transformer in within 24 hours because that's how long they had left on the generators.
Of course, yeah.
But they had to, and that was expensive. And that was back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So he's done that before. Not a mistake of his own, but the fault in the machine. And when he turned it back on, it shorted and blew up this whole transformer.
Yeah.
So I can see how that would happen. But they usually get them in quite. I mean, for the size of these things, they need to be craned in. They're huge. I mean,
they're massive, aren't they? Some of them are. So they're massive.
So okay, I think
we're starting to lose the connection a bit, aren't we? So should we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll find out what the problem is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that. I know I did. I sound like Robbie then, didn't I? I know I did. So if you'd like to give the video a thumbs up, that'd be great. Maybe share it on your socials. Press the notification bell so that you know when there's new content. And maybe think about subscribing. Maybe we can get the other 31% subscribed. That'd be good. And all that leaves to say is it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him.